Welcome back to the Rise Up Voices from the Frontlines Relationship Edition, where we turn breakdowns into breakthroughs and help you build connection without combat. I'm Krista Fee, and today we're diving into a conversation that goes against the grain of what social media might be telling you. Because sometimes it's not that their love is absent, it's that it's showing up in a language you don't speak. Love in the age of, if they wanted to, they would. We're living in a time where social media love advice often sounds like war strategy. If they can't love you right, leave. Know your worth. If they wanted to, they would. And yes, we should know our worth. We should expect respect, safety, and emotional reciprocity. But what if, just what if, we've started using that mindset to throw away people who do care? They just happen to show it differently. What if we're labeling something as unloving simply because it's unfamiliar? The lost in translation problem. Let's talk about the 5 love languages, a model developed by Dr. Gary Chapman. Words of affirmation, acts of service, quality time, physical touch, receiving gifts. We've probably all heard this model. Now, I believe there are far more than 5 love languages. Love is nuanced, complex, and very multi-layered. We show up in love in countless ways based on personality, trauma, upbringing, neurodivergence, and attachment. But this model does give us a simple lens to start seeing how love can be miscommunicated. Let me give you a real-world example. I'm going to give you a case study, Amanda and James. Names are changed for privacy, but these stories are real people with real challenges from within the Rise Up community. Amanda came into the program feeling completely emotionally abandoned in her marriage. She said, "He never says, 'I love you.' He doesn't ask how I'm feeling. I feel invisible." And James, he was overwhelmed. He said, "What? I fix things around the house. I pay attention to the details she mentions. I thought I was showing her love each and every day." Here's what we uncovered. His primary love language, no surprise here, is acts of service. Hers is words of affirmation and quality time. He thought doing love was enough. She needed it spoken and shared. When they realized this, something shifted, not overnight, but gradually they began to bridge the gap. Amanda started seeing his quiet consistency as devotion, and James began expressing appreciation out loud, even when it felt awkward. They didn't change who they were. They just learned to translate. And thus they learned to communicate, understand, and connect more deeply. What science tells us. According to the Gottmans Institute, successful couples don't avoid conflict. They repair after it well. They turn towards emotional bids, not away. And for those of you unfamiliar to what an emotional bid is, it's any attempt from one partner to another for attention, affirmation, affection, or any other positive connection. These bids can be verbal or nonverbal, subtle or obvious, and they happen constantly in healthy relationships. They're essentially the building blocks of emotional connection. An emotional bid might be as subtle as, "Look at this funny video I found," or "I had a hard day." The Gottmans found that the way partners respond to these bids is a strong predictor of relationship success. There are 3 general ways to respond. Turn toward, engage with the bid, tell me more, smile, nod, and touch. Turn away or ignore the bid or miss the bid, and this is your distracted, silent, or unresponsive. And then there's turning against the bid, reject it or react negatively. This is your blame, shame, guilt. Why do you always interrupt me? In stable, happy relationships, partners turn towards the bids about 86% of the time. In couples heading for divorce, that number drops to around 33%. So how important is it to learn to speak each other's language? Whether it's emotional, physical, or practical, it's how you move from combat to connection and ultimately from the battlefield back to the bedroom, because intimacy is built on connection and trust. When it's not about translation, let me be clear here. This is not a call to stay in a relationship where you are disrespected, manipulated, emotionally or physically harmed, ignored, dismissed, or made to feel small. That's not love lost in translation. That is the absence of love, period. Mic drop. But in many cases, it's not toxicity. It's just a mismatch. It's old trauma clouding communication. It's unspoken expectations leading to unmet needs. Transactional love versus transformational love. There is a difference between keeping score and building a shared emotional bank account. Transactional love says, I did this, where's mine? Transformational love says, I'm here with you, let's grow together. Too often we mistake discomfort for danger, but discomfort isn't always a red flag. It might be a mirror. And sometimes that mirror reflects a need to grow, to speak differently, listen differently, and love differently. Codependency, safety, and identity. Let's talk a little bit about codependency. When you're in a pattern of people pleasing or losing yourself to keep someone else, you might feel desperate for love to show up in a very specific way because it feels like safety. The problem is that when love is so narrowly defined, everything else feels like failure. Healing codependency means getting curious. Do I need this to feel loved or to feel worthy? Am I asking for safety or control? When you answer these questions honestly, you begin reclaiming your power. And we'll do many more in-depth episodes on these topics as they show up often in a wide variety of flavors. Here are some reflective questions. Before you walk away or shut down, pause and ask yourself, have I clearly expressed my needs or just hoped they would get it? Is this person unwilling, unaware, or do they not have the capacity? Am I seeing through my lens only? Is there a new way to listen and receive? Sometimes we're so busy looking for red flags that we miss the green lights standing right in front of us. What if there's a gemstone in that stone? What if their love isn't broken, it's just buried? What if beneath the silence or the service or the small gestures, there is a literal gemstone waiting to be discovered? Love isn't always loud. It's not always poetic. Sometimes it's quiet, consistent, and just in need of translation. You don't have to stay where love is painful. But before you walk away, ask, is this stone really empty, or is there something valuable I haven't seen yet? If you love our podcast and have an aligned service or business, become a RISEUP sponsor and join our amazing team fighting against human trafficking, crisis, critical incident, and abuse through our 501c3 nonprofit organization, Battle to Be. I may be just a drop in an ocean, but together we create a tidal wave of change. If this episode resonates with you, I would love for you to subscribe and leave a review. Share it with someone you care about, or register now for the RISEUP Relationship Reset hybrid course and community and become the architect of your happy home. I will definitely put a link in the show notes. For some of you, it's above. For some of you, it will be below. Remember, love doesn't have to be perfect to be powerful. And sometimes the most meaningful connection comes from learning how to truly see one another. Until next time, Stay grounded, stay open, and keep rising.